doesn't total more than 500 people, but every April they watch their population triple as the Best in the Desert Racing Association rolls into town. I'm Stephen Cox, and this is the Bullydog Terribles 250. The second race in the 2009 season saw the heavy hitters nail down the top qualifying spots as defending series champion Jerry Welchel and back-to-back race winner Andy McMillan roared off the starting line. Shortly behind was the Bullydog Speed Technologies car driven by John Herter. A team that always ran out front, Speed Tech would need to live up to their name as they took to the shortest course on the Best in the Desert's 5-race circuit. Not totaling more than 250 miles, the racers referred to the Terribles event as a sprint. Bullydog's second team car, a vicious unlimited monster driven by Chuck Dempsey, was more than prepared for the brutal course that lay ahead of them. Steve Strobel was a veteran driver who had sold his unlimited car early in 2008 and invested in a powerful new trick truck to move up to desert racing's most prestigious class. Inside a brand new Jimco chassis, Steve had tested hundreds of miles in the new machine before ever putting a wheel on the track at Primm. He was hoping for his first race finish in the last 2 years. The Alumacraft team of Steve Serapis and John Cooley had a disastrous start to their season. After blowing the clutch early in the Parker 425, the team was back to prove themselves in what Steve called one of the hardest races in the sport.
I always looked at Primm as an extremely tough track, dusty, rough, uphill, sandy, lots of rocks. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, and you can't go wide open the whole way. You have to pace yourself somewhat, but in a race this short, man, it's going to be tough to pace yourself because somebody's going to break through. So it's as tough as it gets here. I mean, the over 200 miles we're going, yeah, I consider this as tough as a Baja 1000. Maybe not logistically as tough, but the terrain is every bit as tough, if not tougher.
In one of the year's shortest races, Larry Jacinto Racing opted to forego a co-driver completely and put 2 of their full-time drivers into the cockpit.
Co-drivers, we have very good co-drivers. Don't want to take anything away from them, but know the car inside and out. I know what it can handle. I know how hard I can push it when I am driving. So when we're coming up to a section that I think maybe we can go faster, I can kind of give Steve some pointers and saying, hey, you can push it here. You don't have to let off. You know, the car will take it. The car will take it, and it just really helps. Really helps out.
Disaster nearly struck as Casey Folks, president of the Best in the Desert Series, was nearly run over while launching the defending champions of the Terribles 250, the Mastercraft team of Will and Emily Stats. Most of the teams were bent on running a blistering race, but Will said last year's win had taught him patience.
In that you know that being patient early is going to pay you off. I think that that's what we took away from that, because we could have been more aggressive and we weren't. And we just hung around waiting for our time and then picked up the pace. And I think just that same formula to get up to the front is probably what we'll have to do today.
The midday heat was rising as 194 total race vehicles were launched into the desert sand, all of them striving for the same crown.
Bead locks. When we're doing 100 miles an hour across the desert in these trucks, we have to have special equipment to make sure that the tires don't come off the bead. So we got with Larry Trim from Trail Ready to find out more about that.
So this is our Trail Ready HD 15 beadlock wheel. And what we've done is put a beadlock ring which mechanically fixes the tire to the outer bead. To avoid on these heavy trucks now, they're going into the rut so hard they'll blow the tire right off the bead. So as you can see with this one, the front bead of the tire now goes in this groove. And that's going to lock it in, and you're not going to take it off under any circumstances. It also helps you if you happen to run low on air pressure. It's going to keep the tire on the wheel. Furthermore, on the Trail Ready model, we've made the inside bead twice as heavy as well to make sure that you're going to have this wheel with you at the end of the race.
stop at the Best in the Desert Terribles 250 in Primm, Nevada. The first Bullydog Speed Technologies car, number 1555, was painfully aware of gearbox problems that had plagued their vehicle for several races. Without a complete transmission change, they could only cross their fingers and hope that the car would make it to the end of the race. Not far behind them came their teammates in the 1528 car, driven by Chuck Dempsey.
What's Rick saying to you on these headphones right now?
He's telling me he's happy, the truck's good, the fans are on, and we're ready to race.
Western Motorsports raced with a sense of desperation. Their championship hopes hung in the balance after a DNF at the season opener in Parker. Only a top 3 run could salvage their entire year.
Rick Backus is starting first in our truck. He's going to do the first 2 laps. Rick drives, gets to drive a good portion of this race. Last year I raced all 3 laps. This year I'll just finish. He's going to do a great job for us up front. We are going to do our best to win this thing. We need to. We had a DNF at Parker, so we're looking forward to a better run here.
Tell me how many miles you have on the truck, how many races you have on the truck, and do you two know each other very well yet?
Yeah, that's a good question. We got about 500 miles now of test time on it. My co-driver is John Vance, and he actually works at Jimco. He got a vast experience in these. And my first time out with that, he actually told me, he said, a little uncomfortable with that. But he was out with me this last 150 miles. He says, now we're the real deal. He says he's very comfortable with where I'm at. So, yes, I'm getting a good sense of what the truck's capable and what I'm capable with in it. And we qualified 10th yesterday, so it gives us a good confidence booster for the race tomorrow.
The desert would take an early vengeance on Steve when a short and unintentional detour off the main course would turn into a nasty accident. Victor Almeida had found a race that fit his niche. An aggressive driver, Victor always ran fast and out front, but he would also occasionally outrun his car and finish on the sidelines. Now, in theory, the 250-mile sprint at Terribles would fit his driving style perfectly and make him a top candidate for a podium finish. A Lumacraft's machine had been given a facelift since Parker. Hidden under a new paint job was a new transmission that was yet unproven. The team was racing by the old adage, to finish first, you must first finish. The car promised to be a powerful frontrunner if it could last 250 miles. The 7200 class truck of Torchmate CNC Cutting Systems was hoping for a finish as well. Bowing out of the Parker race after waterlogging the engine, the truck was once again piloted by Bill Coons, a driver with a contagious love for desert racing. Their disaster in the freezing rain at Parker had left co-driver Brad Lovell's hands so cold he couldn't even press the horn, and the team hoped for a reckoning at Terribles. Further up the course, Larry Jacinto Racing's 2-driver strategy was working, pushing their car further up the field. I spoke with Steve Raskin about fuel strategy for the day and how many stops they plan to make.
We're actually going to stop for fuel once on our second lap, I believe, at pit 2. Just fill it up with fuel and go from there, and hopefully there's no other stops in between.
As they neared the halfway point in the race, the Jacinto Racing crew prepared for their fuel stop, and more than 100 drivers still behind them prepared for a brutal dash to the finish. In the desert, Terrible's 250 drew to a close. The sun beat down on what was left of a 194-car field. The Bullydog Speed Technologies team was next to fall by the wayside when the gearbox that had caused them such concern finally failed.
You're out of the car. Did you run one lap or two?
I didn't get in. I was supposed to get in 50-55. We had a gearbox issue and the car's down. So we've been using this gearbox for a little while and doing some testing, and you know we keep falling short on it. And so we're kind of thinking about making some changes.
The Mastercraft truck also began to feel the heat, literally. The temperature of the truck's engine oil was rising fast.
So far, both trucks are running fine. Bill and Emily had a slight issue. They were concerned about the oil temperature, mostly for the fact that when they're coming up, climbing up to the hills and stuff, the oil temperature is getting up in the 260-degree range. They're concerned about the viscosity of the fuel, or excuse me, the viscosity of the oil and the temperatures and things. But after a little bit of discussion with them back and forth, we're feeling pretty comfortable that they can just keep pressing on where things are going and just we'll stay in close communication with them.
Tell me about your radios. You can talk to Rick part of the time, but not all the time. How much opportunity do you have for interaction with him?
You know, the mountains back there are tough. You know, as soon as they leave about mile 8 or 9, they're gone. We have a really good high-quality antenna on here, but it doesn't work over those mountains. We catch them up on the way back in about mile 60. We do have radio communications and telephone, thank God, with our pits in Pit 1 and Pit 2.
17 miles.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes of communication.
That's about it.
Okay.
In the waning miles of the race, drivers began to push ever harder to improve their track position. It was crunch time, and Victor Almeida had gotten stuck behind a slower car. He was finally able to break free and pass 4 cars in a row, and a podium finish was still possible. After a serious accident involving 2 of the front runners, Rick D. Johnson picked his way through the field to take home the overall win. But nearly 100 other cars remained out on the field, like the 7200 Torchmate truck. Bill Coons' vehicle had seen massive gains in a recent testing session, and running hard might still get him a good spot.
We shook things down really well. We went and did some testing in Barstow and tuned the shocks, picked up another 20 miles an hour in the whoops.
Another top finisher was the last remaining entry from the Bullydog Speed Technologies team. Driven by Chuck Dempsey, the Bullydog crew had still managed to take 3rd place overall and 1st in class.
We just, try to we didn't get the pre-run, so we just tried to learn the course on the first lap. And we stayed in the hunt with everybody, and we started getting around people as we got going, and we had 5 guys to get around, and it was, we got around Andy and Welch really because they had some kind of tie-up with another truck, and we sort of went around them when they were dealing with that, and that's how we stayed out in front all day. And it was a pretty good all day. Our Bullydog Speed Technology car did great. About the last 7 miles of the course, we had a flat because we were in so much dust, we had to jump out and fix it, so that was the only bad thing we had today.
Still charging through the field back in the 1000 class, Victor Almeida came in for a quick pit stop.
Talk to me. My RPM, I can't get him over 6,000, but I'm cutting along. I don't have all my power, but I'm going. I'll keep it up, see what happens. I don't know what it is. No problems yet.
Despite a poorly revving engine, Victor wasn't far from the finish line, and it looked as if he could still limp home. Miles ahead, the next team across the finish line was Larry Jacinto Racing. The team's strategy of putting 2 full-time drivers in the car had worked. The bright yellow Unlimited class car had pulled off a runner-up finishing class and 4th overall.
Tell me the story of your day.
It started out pretty good. Kind of took it easy on the first lap because there wasn't much GPS or nothing, you know, and made it through, got through, it was going good, kind of opened up a little bit more, and just was fortunate enough to pass a couple people on the side, just tried to keep it together all the way through. Co-driver kept walking me through it, so made it a great day.
And you guys don't always, you usually end up driving separate. Today we've got 2 drivers in the cockpit. How did that work out?
Worked out good. Jake Johnson, the other driver as well, he kind of pushes me through when he thinks the car can take a little bit more. I kind of slow down. I think we're getting a little too much, and it seemed to work out good.
For the remainder of the field, the sun was getting low and time was running out. Bullydog Best in the Desert Series tore across the finish line. Finishing 4th in class and 7th overall was the Alumacraft team of Steve Serapis and John Cooley.
Did you have any problems on course?
The traffic wasn't too bad. The dust wasn't too bad. We had a couple of slow guys. Had a great race with a Hacienda car, but you know, he was going good, and we would have had to take a big chance to try to get by him, and it just wasn't worth it at that point. John gave me a perfect car to drive, and there was one little problem. Brakes were a little spongy, but not bad, but John let me know that. Other than that, the car performed flawlessly, and like John said, you know, we've got a better setup coming, so we wanted to make sure we got this Alumacraft Class 1 car to the finish line so we'd get valuable points and give them hell the rest of the season.
Will and Emily Stats of Mastercraft, the defending event champions, also pulled off a respectable finish, landing 4th in class and 10th overall.
You broke it. The front of the truck's a mess. Will, what happened? Well, we had just passed this one car before the dry lake, and it's a high-speed power line road about 6 miles out, and Emily says we were sitting on about 102, and it was a blowout. It just blew out, the hood blew straight up, truck went sideways, and we went out through the desert 100 miles. It was probably one of the more sensational things I've ever done in this thing, but we got her rode down. I thought we were broke, really, and we changed the tire and came on in.
And you still managed, you're probably top 12, top 13 overall, and maybe top 8 in class.
Well, we had a flat earlier in the day, so it wasn't trouble-free, but the truck ran really great, and we had a ball.
In the final minutes of the race, I found Victor Almeida on pit row, reflecting on a heartbreaking afternoon.
3 miles from the end on the bridge.
What happened? Yeah, when that bolt goes, of course, you've got nothing to stabilize anything back here, so...
Yeah, and so it actually bent in, the whole arm bent in.
Yeah.
Did I try to lift it and get it back? But I had bolts.
Look at that, you got some little bit of damage there.
Oh, I got rocks hit my mirrors over there, broke the mirror.
What all did you hit? What all did you hit?
That was a rock.
The rock hit you.
The rock hit me.
And this happened an hour or more ago, didn't it?
15 minutes ago.
Really?
On the bridge.
You were
3 miles.
Man.
I was about to enter the track. 3 miles.
Tell us where we're at in the points now. I know that's a big deal for you guys. Did you salvage your year?
Yeah, I think we did. I think we got a second. We got a second place in the event, and that's going to pay off some big points. A lot of the leaders had troubles. A lot of the guys ahead in the points really didn't do so well. So I think we got a good shot here. It really sets us up going into Vegas to Reno. Really set the tone for the rest of the year. We're excited about it. We want to win this championship. We raced hard for it today. I tell you what, give it up for Rick Backus, the guy that raced the first 2 laps. He's a rookie. One heck of a job, Rick. Man, we're so excited. Did a great job.
After rolling his brand new truck on its side, Steve Strobel had managed to get back on all fours and speed through Beer Bottle Pass, a 3,500-foot mountain road with a sheer drop-off on the left side. His 500 miles of testing had finally paid off. Strobel finished 11th in class and 36th in the field.
It's been 2 years since we've had a finish, so it's been a long overdue. We're very thankful. The whole crew, the whole Jimco camp, I couldn't thank them anymore. I had one error out there. I was coming to a corner, blew it, I was good there, so we went to get back on the course, and it just kind of jumped off the side. It was a kind of deep hole and laid her right over on her side. But anyway, it took us about a half hour. We thrashed, got her back up, and on the go again.
Coons and the Torchmate team were running strong before colliding with an unseen boulder in the desert, a broken front suspension link that hampered the team's speed, but they still managed to come home 8th in class and 59th overall. Rick D. Johnson had taken the Vegas to Reno crown last year and now returned to the winner's circle in Primm. The 250-mile race had rewarded those who had run clean. From Chuck Dempsey, who had a solid machine all weekend, to Steve Serapis, who simply needed to get a car across the finish line, those who avoided problems came out on top. With the unpredictable outcome of the first two Best in the Desert events, the stage was set for the next race, Vegas to Reno. It was a one-way torture test covering more than 1,000 miles.
Last year was great. You know, we came across that podium first in Trick Truck, and I jumped out and I jumped on top, and I was like, yeah! Because you have to relish those moments, you know? You never know when you're going to have it again. You could easily